Appreciate everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call this afternoon's meeting of the Orange County Transportation Council Planning Committee meeting to order. We'll start off with introductions. I'll start it off. Alan Sorensen, Orange County Transportation Council, Department of Planning.
Stacey Butler, Orange County Department of Planning.
Scott Manley, town member.
John Arella, those are welcome.
Chad Wade, City Member.
Brandon Tawil, Orange County Planning.
Liddy, town member.
Neil Dwyer, Mayor of Monroe.
Meredith Floyd, Orange County Parks.
John Morrow, Orange County Planning.
Okay. Yes. John, if you'll go through the online participation roll call, please.
Just a second.
Shall we provide our own name, or is somebody going to read it off?
Just a moment. I'll read off the names of the online participants, and then you can confirm your affiliation. Just one moment, please. Here we go. Thanks so much. Bert Thielander.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Tony Cardone.
Yep, Town of Monroe Supervisor.
Thank you. Tiana Grimes-Wolf.
Tiana's with MTA, Director of Capital Funding.
Thank you. Herb Litz.
Herb Litz, Greenman Peterson Incorporated, also known as GPI.
Very much. Naomi Klein.
Hi, I'm Naomi Klein with Creighton Manning.
Thank you. Nicole Farmer.
Nicole Farmer with NISDOT Region 8. Sorry, I'm not there in person.
Moshe Gruber.
Yeah. Village of Kirijo, Moshe Gruber, Village of Kirijo.
Thank you. Dave Blake.
It's Dave Lake, Minnesota South TCC.
Dan Burkowski.
Hey, Dan Burkowski, LaBella Associates.
You. Great. Martin Hull.
Martin Hull with WSP.
All right, I believe that's everyone, but let me know if I forgot someone's name.
Nancy Jo from Thruway Authority.
All right, thank you very much, Nancy. All right, now, that should be it.
All right, John, thank you. Next, I'd like to ask for a call for citizen participation. Do any members of the public wish to provide any commentary to the planning committee?
I'm Bert Thielander. I'd like to make some comments.
Yes, Bert, please proceed.
So as you know, I'm with Pathways, Vision Hudson Valley, and I've done a lot of work with planning and parks. And I had an opportunity to review the 2025-2026 Unified Planning Work Program. And I took a look at the non-motorized component of this document, and I want to thank you all for being so specific about what we want to focus on regarding bikeway vision, the bicycle pedestrian plan. And in that document, they mentioned the importance of public-private group collaboration. I just wanted to mention that we've done a lot of work with the Open Space Institute, the New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, Orange County Land Trust, and we've also done some work with the Sullivan County and Ulster County Trail Development Groups. So they've really added a lot of value to what we're trying to promote in Orange County with the bikeway vision. And in the document, page 21, 22, You talked about the extension of the Heritage Trail to Howells. We would like to encourage you to think about extending the Heritage Trail from Howells to Otisville into Cutterbackville. We've talked about that at Pathways and with other folks. And then there's also the west of Hudson Trail development proposal in western Orange County that we've been working on. So that would connect with that component. And then my last, the at the last OCTC meeting, I talked about Pathways request from the Orange County Legislature to allocate Orange County budget funding to promote the bikeway vision. We would really encourage you to continue to try to move that forward and then have Orange County funding complement state and federal sources of funds. And the last thing I wanted to say was I really want to thank you for the budget proposal of $125,000 federal, state, and local for that bicycle pedestrian plan development. It's really, we believe, Pathways, Vision Hudson Valley, and a wide array of not of public-private groups that the bikeway vision is very important and will bring a lot of value to the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other members of the public that wish to be heard? Okay, I'm going to move on then to the approval of the meeting minutes from our January 16th meeting. The minutes were previously distributed in the material packets. If there are no objections, I'm going to ask for a motion for approval of the minutes, please. Scott? Second. John? Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. All right, moving along. Communications and announcements. The TMA decided to fund all of the projects that were submitted in the TMA's 5307 call for projects. However, additional resolutions will be necessary before those awards will be made. After the approval of the resolution to distribute the TMA's fiscal year 25, 5307, 5340 funds today at the next meeting, there will be a resolution to apportion the unallocated amounts of previous TMA 5307 funding up to and including fiscal year 24 unallocated amount to the awarded projects. Once this is done, then each awarded project will still need to be added to the applicable MBO's TIP, which will be done via another resolution for a TIP amendment. We've got a few steps ahead of us. But good news, we received some solid applications, and we had sufficient funding to fund each of those. Any questions, comments?
Well, the general comment is we don't know what federal government is going to be doing with those our federal funding for projects just listed other federal funding.
Yes.
Jeopardy plus it or a question uncertain.
I think we've been taking it day by day, following the various announcements. So I think, a prudent course of action, especially for any unallocated amounts, will be to move forward as prudently and as quickly as we can to allocate that funding for specific projects.
Accelerating is better thing to do. Try to do in ways before there's a short stop. We're in the door.
Yes, and I would add to that though, we did the call for projects, so that predated any of the more recent initiatives coming out of the federal government. So I think we're ahead of the curve there. And like I said, we had some very solid, well thought through application.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if the towns move ahead with these projects that were committed and the money doesn't come, then what happens?
We will we'll have to cross that bridge.
Well, that is a very slippery slope.
That's good for the entire.
Yes.
Yes, it
Not
is.
only for this month,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
So that's why if MPO could be in contract with the federal government, then you're more locked in. It's still only allocation, not contractual.
Yeah, nothing's impossible, right? I think once it's programmed into the tip, it's gonna be harder to fall back. So we're gonna proceed expeditiously on that path. It's a good question. Moving along. Reports and action on old business. The county staff were reviewing proposals on the preliminary design phase work for the Scunlock Railroad Trail. We received 5 proposals, and we'll be meeting next Friday to select the design consultant for the preliminary design of the Scunlock Railroad Trail. So that work, happy to report, is moving forward. Very pleased with the proposals that we received. They were, 5 very capable firms, so probably the difficulty is going to be making the final selection. So I'll leave it there and ask Stacy to go over.
The MPO staff from Orange County Planning are mainly focused on the preparation of the tip, a new one, and then the accompanying self-certification and presentation of the draft is likely to be May or June with a 30-day public comment period after that, and adoption is tentatively scheduled for the August meeting. So far that syncs with NIMCHEC's schedule, and we're aligned with them because of the air quality conformity determination. Other projects we have in the work include the preparation of the RFP for transportation consulting services, developing proposed revisions to the operating procedures and public participation plan, and then preparing for the TMA recertification, which we've been advised will begin in around September.
Would New York State DOT staff like to report on any MPO related activities at this time?
I don't have anything. We're looking forward to working on the development of the new tip with you guys, and that's all I have.
Great, cool, thank you.
We were reviewing the calendar after we were meeting with NIMCHEC regarding the timing of the tip update, and because the current procedures have let me back up. We have 30-day public comment periods in our procedures, 14 to 30 days, depending on the item. There's a couple things that need a 45-day comment period, like an update to the procedures. We also have in the operating procedures the requirement to notify all of the county official papers, which are all weeklies, and there's a lag time between when we send the notice to them and when it actually gets published. So we're running into issues with doing monthly meetings, so we wanted to bump them out to about every 45 days. This way we have time for 30-day public comment periods when necessary, about 5 days for staff to make any revisions, and then we have about 10 days to be able to notify the papers so it hits in a timely manner. John, were there copies of the tentative?
Yes, there were. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So that'll go out and get posted on the website, and then we'll also send around the invites as well.
Are there other member reports?
Can't hear anything.
I didn't say anything.
Okay, thanks.
We can hear you, Tony.
All right. No, I heard someone say are there other members, and then it went blank.
Oh, I was asking if any other members want to provide an update.
Okay.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay, we're gonna move on then to actions on old business. Gonna ask Stacy to lead us on the discussion on the Unified Planning Board program.
Held public comment period, which ran from January 22nd to February 5th, and no comments were received. We did have a discussion with the Sample Directors Group, which is an organization of all the NPOs in New York State, and NISDOT participates, federal agencies participate, and out of that discussion, because of executive branch memos, executive orders, especially relating to equity, justice, authority, and justice requirements, we took out two provisions in the draft UPWP. One is under the planning emphasis areas on page 14 of the original draft that was circulated. That's a list of certain areas that FHWA and FTA asked the regional administrators and division and regional administrators to focus on with NISDOT and the NPOs when they're developing products, but it's by no means mandatory to include it. John is bringing that up on the screen right now. But there are references in there to equity and justice 40. Since it's not something we're required to include, we figured we would eliminate it to avoid any future uncertainties, because the UPWP is also approved at the federal level. There's also a provision on page 16 of the original circulated draft in subtask 44.2101 for general administration. And that basically says we're going to comply with all the rules and regulations. So we gave examples such as, I mentioned here, Justice 40, we just deleted the examples. So it's just a requirement to comply with everything. So those were the only changes that were made.
So prior to the adoption, I'll be asking for motion to amend to accept those revisions. When we get to the policy.
Hey, Alan, I don't know if anybody else online is. We're having a hard time hearing anything.
Oh, can you hear me as I speak?
Yeah, now I
Yeah,
can.
now we can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, so I'll try to just quickly summarize what we discussed. So on page 14, there was references to planning emphasis areas. Those were specific to presidential executive order that was issued in December of 2021.
Okay.
UPWP, refers to the most recent presidential executive order. Obviously, that's not the most recent presidential executive order. So we're just removing that. Recommendation is just to remove that language from the draft UPWP. And also consistent with that, on page 16, in subtask 442101, general admin, we cited specific examples under the second bullet that talks about being in compliance with federal and state transportation rules and regulations. So rather than cite specific examples, some of which are inconsistent with the current presidential executive order, we're just going to strike the examples that were listed there, and the bullet will be revised to simply state preparation of reports and related materials to maintain compliance with all applicable federal and state transportation rules and regulations, such as performance measures.
Thank you.
Some regulations, period. I'm sorry. We're going to remove such as. You're welcome.
So I should have voted with you from DOT.
Yes.
Is that going to be mentioned in the policies? Come DOT secretary assigned into place for upcoming.
That I don't think would be necessary to be in the UPWP. One of the things that's on the overall agenda that the staff would like to do this year with the council is to develop some selection framework for when we're selecting projects, and something like that could probably be referenced in the selection framework, and we'd probably do that by a resolution.
Any other discussion on that UPWP? If not, we move on to new business. We have introduction of resolution number 2025-05. This is the apportionment of fiscal year 2024 FTA 5307, 5340 formula funds in the Mid-Hudson Valley Transportation Management Area. This resolution distributes fiscal year 24 funding apportioned to the Mid-Hudson Valley TMA for section 5307, the urbanized area formula grants, and section 5340, the growing states high density states program under the bipartisan infrastructure law. These funds are in addition to funding already apportioned to each MPO individually under the programs. As you will see in the attachment in this resolution, public operators in Orange County have been allocated $3,705,738. Inter-county commuter bus service, $6,444,562, and then a large portion of the then vast majority of unallocated $3,934,115 was added to the $13 million in the recent TMA 5307 call for projects to enable awards to the applicants. I think one thing worth just pointing out, we were afforded an opportunity to look at two allocation formulas, and we reached consensus with our other members of the TMA, Ulster and Dutchess County, to choose the alternative that was most favorable to Orange County Transportation Council. And consensus was reached to move in that fashion. As I think most of you know, New Jersey was part of the TMA, which it no longer is. So the question came up as to what happens to those funds. We took the position that until such time we knew whether or not that would affect Orange County Transportation Council, that those funds should not be redistributed to the other MPOs in the TMA, but rather stay with Orange County. And we were successful with that.
Then NTA portion is for the ferry. Is that NTA portion for the ferry? Is that what that's for? 3.6 million.
I don't believe it's this. I'd have to go back and double check.
Thanks.
I'm going to go back. I'll actually just move forward. Introduction of resolution 2506. Again, that's apportionment of federal fiscal year 2024 FTA section 5339 formula funds in the Mid-Hudson Valley Transportation Management Area. Resolution distributes the funding apportioned to the Mid-Hudson Valley TMA for section 5339. The bus and bus facilities formula program TMA funding is in addition to 5339 funding already allocated for the individual TMA MPRs. As noted in Chapter 1, this is a resolution. Public operators in Orange County have been apportioned $665,153. And the same allocation section occurred there, and again, I think we came to the resolution that benefited the Transportation Council.
there's a section for public operators, there's a section for commuter buses. Total work. Our count is a lot higher than. How is it divided between public operators versus?
Can't hear anything.
Tony,
Sorry.
the question came up in terms of the allocation, what the division was between local operators and the commuter buses.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I think I'm facing the microphone, so if I'll be happy to project and clarify it when the time.
Thank you.
Not sure we have the answer, Stacy.
I believe it's NISDOT that was, well, the states work out at their level. More likely, yes, would be ridership, potential mileage for the services. So we can find out that to you. But it's, yeah, they usually do a formula to allocate every year the TMA formula funds.
Thank you. So we'll get back to you on that.
How much? We need to wait for the next meeting, just.
Yeah, we can
Yeah, we'll
shoot
let you
email
know.
out to everyone. Anyone on the line.
So Tony, as soon as we know, we'll reach out and have a response to that question.
Okay.
So the next meeting date, we had it tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March 12th. That will be canceled due to the lack of agenda items and allow staff to focus on the tip preparation and other MPO activities. So our next meeting date will be in April. And
The 3rd.
so April 3rd, which is not all that long away. So with that, I know we're waiting for one other member to arrive in person before we start the policy committee meeting. I would ask, unless there's other business, for a motion to adjourn the planning committee meeting. And then I guess afford everyone a break before we start the policy. So a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you.
No.
Next.
Is he right for him?
It's the most wanted question.
I know, I had to push just to make it, so we'll make it.
Wow.
No tickets.
Thank you.
Thanks for the telephone.
If I can take care of them, then I'll have to tell you that.
It's true. Jacob, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Give everyone a minute or two, and then we'll get started with the policy board. Are we ready? All right, we're ready to go. Okay.
It's 2:11, so should all be back.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call this afternoon's meeting of the Orange County Transportation Council Policy Board order. We'll start off with the introductions with the in-person roll call. Alan Sorensen, Orange County Department of Planning, Transportation Council.
Stacy Butler, Orange County Department of Planning.
Scott Manley, Town Newburgh.
Denise Quinn, Town of Wayne.
Jacob from Good City of Middletown.
Michael Weeks, Town of New Windsor.
John Ravello goes to Walden.
I'll use second. Chad Wade, to Newburgh.
Brandon Wheel, Orange County Planning.
McGuire, Rose Monroe.
Boy, Orange County Parks.
John Morrow, Orange County Planning.
Okay. Next, I'd like to go on to the online participant roll call. John, if you'll announce the attendees and ask that they.
Here, yeah, okay.
Right.
All right, then. Good. Right, good. Travis Wolf.
It's Tiana Grimes from MTA, Director of Capital Funding there.
Tony Cardone.
Tony Cardone, Town of Monroe Supervisor.
Nicole Farmer.
Nicole Farmer, NISDOT Region 8 Planning.
Herb Litz.
Herb Litz, Greenman Peterson Incorporated, also known as GPI.
Moishe Kruger.
Yep, that's me, Village of Kiryas Joel. Moshe Gruber, Village of Kiryas Joel.
Valen Parsons. No worries. Dan Murkowski.
Derikowski, LaBelle Associates.
That's not the one we want to extend, right? We want to extend it from Dan right now. I think that's it.
John, thank you. I'm going to move on to the call for citizen participation. Do any members of the public wish to provide commentary to the policy board? Okay, hearing none, we can move on. Next, we have the approval of the meeting minutes summary from January 16th, 2025 policy board. These were previously distributed. I'll ask for a motion in a second.
Motion.
One second.
Okay, any discussion on the draft minutes? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
No opposed, carries. Communication and announcement. Denise, welcome to a new role. Denise, supervisor of town of Warianda, is representing the Western Gateway area towns for the remainder of the 2025-26. Welcome.
Okay.
Congratulations. We're going to go on to reports and actions on old business. Staff reports, as this was reviewed in the immediately preceding planning committee meeting, no updates are necessary at this time. And other member reports, has anyone else thought of anything that they would like to update the policy board on? Yep, we'll move on that. Any other old business anyone would like to bring up? Okay, we're going to move right on to new business. First item on new business is resolution number 2503. That's the adoption of the TIP amendment. OCTC 2310 reallocating CMAC and SDBG large urban block pin amounts to existing pin 875965, which is the Village of Kiryas Joel road improvement. That's SDBG large urban funding. Next is existing pin 876300 Village of Kiryas Joel Park and Ride line expansion using CMAC funding. Existing pin 875705 Orange County Heritage Trail Segment 3, again using CMAC funding. And a new pin 849522 New York State DOT, New York State Route 207 at Morris Hill Road widening project, Town of New Windsor, again using CMAC funding. May I have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Second. John? Discussion? All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Wait a minute. We're adopting every one of them as one?
One resolution.
It's one resolution, yes.
Then I'm gonna have to vote no on all of them because I think they should be voted on individually.
Oh, Tony, you only can vote in person, but you're we acknowledge what you just stated. So I have a motion in a second. I'll call the question. All those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay, there's one no vote. Okay. Well, that's not done.
You want to split it? Yeah, you want to do separate one by one?
You
No,
can't.
yeah.
It's not uncommon to have multiple projects on the same amendment.
Projects should be voted individually on their merit, not as a group.
These have been discussed in multiple meetings, but the TIP amendments are typically drafted to cover multiple projects to be able to move them through in an expeditious manner.
I would ask that
We can discuss each project individually, but we'll on the resolution as a whole if you want to. I don't care, but I don't think there's.
Am I the only one that feels this way?
No, Denise Quinn agrees.
Okay.
But is the objection a particular project or is it?
Well, I feel that Tony should be able to have a vote, and since he wasn't here to be able to vote, I voted no for him.
Well, the only reason he doesn't have a vote is he have to be in person.
I understand that,
Yeah.
but, I mean, during COVID, we were able to vote online.
That was different. That was
I know,
different.
I understand,
The
but
state allowed that. They don't allow it.
The next meeting is not until April, and if you modify the TIP amendment, it's going to have to go out for public comment. And the second time, if you break it up, it's going to have to be multiple amendments and multiple resolutions.
There is certain project you want to talk about.
well, I think we have to ask Tony what it's like.
Tony, which project you want to talk about?
The 876300.
Park and ride, gotcha.
Yeah.
What's the issue?
The issue is, and I asked Gedalia at the last meeting, it's not on Forest Road. And I think that's a misrepresentation of, obtaining funding. It's off Forest Road. Gedalia, could you explain what the name of the road is that it's on?
I don't know what you're referring to it, but if we could have John bring up Google Map and everybody sees the picture, you could see it all. He's going to share a screen of a Google Map so we could see the park and ride in front of us. Thank you for bringing that up, Tony.
Is it currently on Forest Road?
Yeah, but I guess we're going to have a vote if it's on Forest Road or not.
I don't know.
Forest Road. Do 49 Forest Road. Project. Keep moving down, a little down, no, the other way, up, I guess, okay. Little more, little more, little more, little more, little more. I'm just standing up to point. This is the Forest, the park and ride right over here.
Yes, yes.
And this is Forest Road. And the entrance to the park and ride is right off Forest Road. The park and ride itself is between Garfield Road and Forest Road. How else would we call this, Tony?
You told me you said there was a different name to it.
No, I'm not sure. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. But this is all Forest Road. The entrance to the parking lot is on Forest Road. And it says right there on the screen next to the park and ride, Forest Road.
I don't know. I'm confused because that's not the what we discussed last time at the last meeting.
It was, but let me refresh you, Tony. A couple of months ago, or maybe a couple of years ago, this project originated on Bakertown Road, and the committee voted on moving from the Bakertown Road side to the Forest Road side. But
Yes,
it was on the Forest Road side for the last
probably a couple of years now.
Yeah, Tony, if you recall, that other project was abandoned, and then we created this new pin for this project, which is going to be a parking structure. This is a 2-story parking structure.
Where's it going?
It's right there.
It's right
Same
there.
location?
Same
Same
location.
location.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just adding on to that.
You remember? Yeah, yeah.
Adding another level.
This is an
Yeah.
existing tip. It's just an amendment to an existing tip. This project is under design. The full design report was submitted to DOT probably months ago. And we're waiting to proceed with this vote.
Tony, this is one that we're planning department. We had to do a CMAQ justification narrative, which we did for DOT. And so, yeah, this has been on. This was presented to the Transportation Council and described. But I don't know, but what's another one that was abandoned?
The way it was described to me last time, I just moved the windows. It was to the right where it says CYL parking.
No, that's a private property. This is a municipal parking lot. That is a private property. That is not what this project is intended for. I don't know how you picked that up. This is an entrance from Forest Road. It's owned by the Village of Curtis Joel, title for the last 25 years. It's an existing operating park and ride for the last probably 20 years now, 22 years. And we're proposing to add another story.
And what type of people, cars parked there? Is it for office? Is it for work? Is it just to get to that part of downtown?
No, right here in this vicinity, it's not visible here. There's the bus stop that takes people to New York City with, I think it's Monroe Bus Company. So people that travel to New York City use this park and ride in order to take the bus. That's one of the major bus stops in Curtis Joel going to New York City.
Okay, so that's the main temple to the right of it, right?
There are many buildings here. This is a synagogue. This is another synagogue. There's another one here. This is a banquet hall, and this is a shopping center. So this is like the Curtis Joel Main Street.
Okay. Tony, we went through that whole CMAQ process with state DOT, and it meets all the requirements for the CMAQ funding.
Okay. All right. And then the other question I had was there's over a 60% discrepancy in the TPC cost for the other project in Kairos Joel. It's 875,965. 9.5 million to 15.5 million.
We had a full Tony. We had a full presentation on that project at the last planning committee meeting, and we presented all the bid numbers. That project went out to bid, and it already has a notice of award that was signed off by DOT, and the vast majority of that project is to improve Orange County Route 44.
Right. What did the bid come in at?
I'm sorry, I didn't bring the papers along. I had it here at the last meeting that you attended. The bids came in at about $9 million. I had a handout at the time that I shared with everybody, and I believe it's part of the last package that the county sent around, but it was definitely part of this meeting.
Okay. I mean, Denise, it's your call, Denise. I mean, I can't vote, so I don't mean to put that pressure on you, but I mean,
Yeah, first meeting, thanks.
Tony, were your concerns addressed? I'm hoping that shed a, that.
Yeah, I think my concerns were addressed, but I really believe in the future, you can't bulk all these projects together. That's just, it's all apples and oranges. I mean, I know in the past we voted on them individually.
So Tony, just, I think, Tony, you're referring to planning committee meetings, and this is a policy meeting. At planning committee meetings, the project is looked at separately. Whatever passes the planning committee meeting, like before the comment period, a month ago, it was voted on individually. Now it's only wrapping up after the public comment period.
I don't know if Nicole has anything to say on sort of whether it's common to have multiple projects on the same tip amendment. I believe we've done that in the past. I don't think it's an uncommon thing for any of the FPOs to do, right?
It's very common to see multiple projects on the same tip amendment ballot. Usually, like they were explaining, it's discussed on an individual level at the planning meetings and then voted on together at policy board meetings. Going forward, that would be a council decision if we wanted to change that practice.
Cool, thank you. All right, with all of that discussion, this motion to reconsider, I would ask for consensus on this vote. I think it's important to advance these projects. So I guess I will, I don't really need a motion to reconsider. All right, so I'm gonna ask for a formal motion to reconsider. Second. All those in favor of passing the resolution, say aye. Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Aye.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna go on to the next.
So I do have a question.
Yes.
Not about the tip back, but about the voting. Isn't it in our bylaws how they can vote? Like who can vote?
Yes.
So can't we make it so if we have a quorum here, whoever is on, who has the ability, the authorization to vote, can vote? Because I personally do not think that is.
We are going to be presenting or coming back to the Transportation Council with recommendations for revising the policies and procedures. There's a few things in there, Stacy alluded to earlier about like the convoluted advertisements requirements for publishing in the local newspapers, which is not required. So we want to clean that stuff up, and we can certainly, we'll be looking for the board's guidance. Yes. Yeah.
In person forum,
right.
That was voted upon by this committee.
Yes, it was.
So it's our own policy. We can change it, I believe. We can change it if you want to go with the consensus, of course, of
right.
The voting members.
Yeah. So, yeah, we can look into that. Okay. Vigorous discussion, but a healthy one, I think. Next resolution is 2504, the adoption of the state fiscal year 2025-2026 Unified Planning Work Program. It was explained in the planning committee meeting that there were no public comments were received, and some administrative revisions were made to mitigate funding risk and uncertainties related to the current federal executive branch orders and memos. Stacey, anything you want to add to that?
Thanks. If anyone has any questions.
Before I ask a motion to adopt, I just want to acknowledge the incredible work of Stacy Butler, my deputy, and John Murrow, and other Rhea. The team really put a lot of work and effort into this document, and I think it really shows. some things in there, we had like, the allied codes where we had like, under general admin, like 20 different, I'm exaggerating, but 20 different sub-allied codes. It's just very convoluted. I think it's a much more streamlined document. Great presentation and a lot of thought and time and effort went into it. So may I have a motion to adopt the Unified Planning Work Program? Jacob? Second. Dahlia? All members in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. Next resolution is resolution 2505, adoption of apportionment of fiscal year 24 FDA section 5307, 5340 formal funds in Mid-Hudson Valley TMA. I'll ask for a motion to adopt. Vacant, second. Got it. All those members in favor, signal by saying aye. Carries.
Alan, you're gonna give us information on what the stated allocation is to be correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna, don't have a definitive answer right now, but we'll definitely get back to that. Finally, we have resolution number 2506, adoption of the apportionment of this fiscal year 2024 FDA 5339 formal funds for the Mid-Hudson Valley TMA. May I have a motion to adopt?
Second.
Okay. All those members in favor, signal by saying aye. Thank you. Motion carries. Next meeting date will be April 3rd.
Sit down today.
Please mark your calendar. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, we'll send out corrected invites.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the members online. Thank you, Derek.
We're a fun building.
Yeah. Can't wait. You're a
Nothing if you're not loyal.